You're listening to the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, where a group of nobodies speak to an actual somebody. And now your hosts, John and Frank.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm John.
I'm Frank.
And we are the Nobodies. And here on our show, we sit down and talk with somebody important about the important life that they lead.
We drop somebody fascinating right in the middle of our whole lot of nothing.
And this week, we brought in somebody really interesting. We brought in Joe, who is a doctor.
And a doctor for children.
He's a real doctor for real children. He births babies. He brings life into the world. I mean, there's a couple other people that are involved in that whole bringing life into the world process, but he's important.
He is definitely important.
Basically, he's the receiver. You know, you can't have a football game if you got all the players and they're throwing to nobody. You got to have somebody catching it at the other end.
He's also a really great sport. He played along with us a lot, and we learned a lot of things in the meantime.
We did. We learned a lot, and I think he learned how little we knew.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it.
Let's welcome this week's somebody important.
I'm Joey Casiglione, and I'm a doctor.
So, what's going on, everybody? We're here with Joe Casiglione, and you are a doctor.
That's
right. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for coming down. So, I would like to point out that your career is one of the big ones that I know so little about, which is funny because in your everyday life, how often do you come across doctors? It's like one of the most important things. It's
Absolutely.
It's like one of the first places you go as a child when they're like not going to take the baby out of the house. There's one place they'll take you.
I mean, that's the first place you go to be a child.
It literally,
they are
90% of the
first
world
person who touches you
is born into the hands of a doctor. And now you are specifically that kind of doctor, right?
That's true. My first week of being a doctor, I was working overnight, and I had 30 newborn babies in the nursery that I was taking care of.
30
newborn babies.
It's like a 1980s Tom Selleck comedy.
Right.
One man, 30 babies.
So now, do you just hop room to room doing it? Like,
Well, anytime there's a delivery overnight, we would have to show up at the delivery room and make sure the baby was okay.
and you have to pretend that you're happy for every one of them?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
You always go over to the family and say congratulations, the baby looks great.
Right. Well, what are you going to do? Congratulations.
Right.
I mean, you got a dud looks-wise, but...
It's got all its fingers and toes, but it looks like a boot.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And really just making sure the father doesn't pass out.
Does that happen?
That did happen once to me.
Really?
Yes.
He just passed out watching the
Well,
birth?
so the parents are always supposed to be sitting down, or obviously the mother's sitting down, but the father's always supposed to be sitting down.
Just hanging upside
The
down.
father's always supposed to be sitting down. We really don't let them get up. And this dad decided to get up. I turned around, and there he was, and I'm like, Dad, please sit down. And he was like, I think I'm going to pass out. I go, that's why I want you to sit down.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I don't want to see all that. That's too much happening that I don't really... Listen,
Right.
I'm involved in the beginning part of it. In the end part of it, you're on your own.
Wow.
You better get over that now.
So, how was it the first time you saw a child being born?
It didn't really have that much of an impact on me. I think I was more scared on the other end, knowing that I was going to be handed this newborn baby and have to make sure that it was okay.
Right.
I get nervous holding somebody's, like, 3-year-old.
That-
Brand new baby's like holding like freshly blown glass.
That's right. I carry 2 dishes to the table. I'm freaking out. I'm going to drop one.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which I knew I wanted to do pediatrics, but that was always the thing that scared me the most. So starting overnight by myself in the nursery was even more scary.
So
on my
you
first
jumped
day of
into it
residency.
because you were afraid of it?
No, it's just that's where I happened to be placed for my first night.
Wow. So let's go back to the beginning. What made you, now I've known you your whole life, what made you decide to be a doctor? Amazingly, I don't know these answers, which is really weird. But so what made you decide that you wanted to be a doctor?
So as you can imagine, you're not the first person to have asked me that. So
Of
we've
course,
had to
probably
write
everyone
personal.
asks you
Podcast circuit.
Everyone asks me. We have to write personal statements throughout medical school, throughout college, throughout residency about why we want to do what we're doing. And I think a lot of it had to do with my mom being sick growing up and my brother having autism and wanting to play a role in other people's lives, that the doctors and people that worked with them played a role in their life.
Wow, that's pretty noble.
That is noble. Do you remember any doctors from when you were young?
I mean, I remember my pediatrician. I remember going with my brother to all the different type of doctors. Not only does he have autism, but he also has a congenital heart disease called tetralogy of Fallot that he needed multiple surgeries in his first year of life. So I always remember going yearly to the checkups with them. and that always being something that I remember and standing out in my life. And then, of course, my mom's doctor. I mean, I didn't know him personally as well, but hearing her talk about him in such a positive light was always very meaningful to me.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you've dedicated yourself to a lot of things throughout your life. You've done, you were like Taekwondo master. What are you?
I was a third-degree black belt.
Third-degree black belt.
Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Yeah, he was doing it. He was doing it. He'd break the legs and then he would fix the legs.
That's how you keep people keep people in business.
Right. But so you've always kind of thrown yourself into things. You've never been afraid of how long it takes or whatever it is to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. So when you were faced with this, how many years is med school altogether?
So med school is 4 years long, and then residency could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
Depending on the specialty that you choose.
That's a lot of schooling. You really got to care about what it is you're doing.
That's like high school twice.
And a lot of people actually take time in between, and it's actually encouraged to take gap years before you even start medical school. So people are starting, a few of my closest friends took a year, even 2 years off before starting medical school, doing different research or volunteering at hospitals and working in the health fields before starting medical school. So it's an even longer road in that sense. I was very fortunate and lucky that on my first round of applications, I was accepted to a medical school.
Right here in New York.
Yes, right here in New York. I haven't gone far.
Yeah, you didn't have to move to like Arkansas.
I did not have to
You
go
lived in
far.
Tennessee for like 6 months or something, and
It was a month.
Right?
It was a month. But
It was only a month?
It was only a month.
Oh, I must have missed you. Felt like it was 6 months to me.
Wait, when you were in medical school, did anybody ask such a stupid question? You were like, I hope you don't become a doctor. Like day one, where they're like,
Hey, what's a femur?
you're right.
I don't think there were any stupid questions. More questionable decisions that they would make in regular life that would maybe raise a red flag or two. Like, I don't know, maybe
Smother this one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do a lot of people make it? Or do a lot of people drop out?
So we had a pretty large class in my medical school. It was about 215 people, and we graduated with about 190s to 200.
Oh.
So 20 people either decided it wasn't for them or took years off in between or had to drop out for various reasons.
Wow. As far as in the hospital, are there like, you see it a lot on TV, you see it a lot in movies, the way that it's portrayed. Would you say that a hospital is at all accurate in pretty much anything, or it's all wrong?
I don't watch a lot of the medical dramas, but I think they do become a little dramatic on the relationships and the arguments and the yelling. I mean, different things definitely occur that's real. The rounding, the patients coming in very sick and having to act quickly. I think it's maybe exaggerated a little bit for TV.
But I'd imagine that it has to be. I mean, it's a pretty dramatic thing that's going on. I mean, people coming in, it's life and death. It really is truly life and death.
So in the emergency room, it could definitely be a lot more hectic and a lot busier, where it's that chaotic to and fro, especially during like sick seasons, during like cold and flu season, it can get very busy. And maybe it could be that I'm in pediatrics, and pediatrics is kind of known for being a little more chill and not as high-strung with different personalities and different egos.
You got clowns up in there. You got balloon animals.
That's the best thing about being at a children's hospital is you're having fun all the time. There's different people coming down. We have the Chick-fil-A mascot turned around. He was there one day.
What is the mascot for Chick-fil-A?
It's the cow.
Oh, it's the cow.
There's like
cow. Eat more chicken.
Christian hamburger.
Wait a second. The Chick-fil-A mascot is a cow?
Yes. It's a
Yeah.
cow wearing a sign that says "Eat more chicken," spelled improperly.
funny.
Okay.
It's pretty funny.
Were they
Why
giving
they
out-
were at the hospital, I can't tell you, but things like that, it's a little more fun environment.
Right. Yeah, what's something that you've seen that's been really like crazy fun about being in a children's hospital? Like you sent me pictures last week, like Darth Vader came from May the 4th. And
Yeah, so like for different times of the year, they'll have a lot of different things going on. I think in our atrium, we do a lot of cool different things. They had like a slime day. They had like pie, different staff members day. They make different videos. They made like a baby shark video,
Nice.
which was a lot of fun. I mean, there's always events going on that
do you
keep
get
the kids
involved in
involved.
stuff like that?
Not as much, but it's always good when they come ask you, can this patient go down? To be able to say yes and see the excitement on their
I thought
face.
you were gonna say they ask you, and you're like, "No, I'm good.
No.
I'm
They had-
all right."
They had a carnival for the staff once. I would say that was probably the time
That's
we went
cool.
down. But
That's cool.
that was just nice to have something different
Was
to
it all
do.
like hospital themed carnival games?
Yeah,
Nah, it was-
throw the syringe instead of darts and stuff like that.
Everybody playing Operation.
Yeah, you gotta throw the syringe.
Pretzels.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking throwing syringes at like IV bags, trying to pop them.
You know, something I noticed, just to jump back to like TV drama hospitals, why are they always dark? They're always so dim, and there's always just a couple of lights. And I know that in a real hospital, it can't be that dark.
Very bright. Fluorescence.
Tell us now.
Yeah, it is not that dark.
Okay.
It's not
No.
that dark at all.
So I'm going to ask you a couple. We like to just kind of throw some points at our guests and see. Now, I know you don't watch a lot of TV. You're not a big TV person. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give you a TV doctor. And you're going to tell me where they fall on how good they are as a doctor. Frank, do you want to take a second to get your phone out?
I got a couple in my head already.
Okay,
They're not
cool.
necessarily
Oh,
TV
man.
doctors. They're just doctors.
Just doctors in general.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, it's not. Let's not even say TV doctors. Just doctors.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Dr. Cliff Huxtable from the Cosby Show. Let's take the personal out of it. He delivers babies. He also delivers
He does
long
deliver baby.
sandwiches.
But he was in a lot of episodes where he was there, so I don't know how much he was actually working.
right. He was
So
always
makes-
home.
makes
That's
him-
a good point.
Right.
He
Makes you
was always
question.
home.
I mean, there were sometimes he would get the phone call, so I'll give him a 4 or 5 because he
4 or
actually
5.
got
Out
phone
of a
calls.
what? Out of a
Out
what?
of 10.
How out of 10?
Did we ever see him in the hospital besides the episode of him delivering the sandwiches though?
no, I don't think so.
I don't
Where-
think so
where he was in
either,
the hospital
so-
with the Muppets delivering long sandwiches. That's right.
There are some questions there.
Yeah. All right, Frank, you got one?
Sure. Dr. Scholes.
Dr. Scholes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm gonna say, as far as medical field, I would
Okay.
put him more of a 2. I mean, Charlie Brown would get hurt pretty
No.
frequently.
No. That's Charles
That's
Schultz.
Charles
Wait,
Schultz.
no.
Charles Schultz.
Dr. Schultz
And
is
Charles
It's
Schultz.
The foot.
He
the
does
foot
have
guy.
those
Oh,
big
the foot
round
guy.
Yo, people use those
He's-
products.
I mean,
See,
not-
Charles Schultz, they have those big round shoes. So those that makes
So
sense.
Dr. Schultz is probably in
Yeah,
Charles
probably
Schultz.
into Charles Schultz.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss would get a 1.
A 1.
A 1. Yeah.
Wow, he's changing worlds. Oh, the
He's
places
changing
he'll
worlds.
Go.
It's true. In the pediatric field, I should give him more credit. Actually, I'm gonna change that back. I'm gonna change
Okay.
that back to a 6. Because
Wow.
reading is very important.
Oh, I got one, Joe. Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper is a personal favorite
Wait,
of
Dr.
mine.
what?
Dr. Pepper is a personal favorite of mine, but his medical expertise is lacking.
Well, he was Mr. Pibb, and he went to school together, and Mr. Pibb didn't make it through. Didn't make it through medical
He
school.
was the 10%.
Yeah. How about Dr. Teeth from the Muppets?
Dr. Teeth. Not as familiar with his work.
No, he's not even really. He's not even.
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. You know.
I'd never even heard Dr. Quinn.
Oh, really?
She was
Yeah,
good.
she's an old TV show. She was a medicine woman.
Played
That's-
by
that's
Jane
all I
Seymour.
know.
Yeah, that's right.
What about the old standard Dr. Phil?
Sure.
Oh,
Dr. Phil.
Dr.
I mean,
Phil, you gotta know when you come into my place. That's my Dr. Phil. It's terrible.
It was good.
I grew a mustache for it. Go on, Dr.
Dr.
Phil.
Phil's changing lives. I don't know.
Here's Dr. Oz. Not
He's
changing
changing
as many lives.
Dr. Oz
No.
is not as popular as one would imagine.
I have another one.
Okay.
Dr. Jack Kevorkian.
Definitely a popular name, especially in today's day and age. I think he did pretty good in the sense that he made us think about it and realize what we're actually doing and started the conversation about it. What he did
Interesting.
wasn't good, but it made us talk about it.
Very, very interesting. Huh. I would have never thought we would have had a Dr. Kevorkian truther here. But I'm with it. No, I'm with it. I'm behind. I know exactly what you meant. So I had a question for you about med school. Do they teach you bedside manner, and how do they do it? Because I don't know what I would do. And listen, I'm not trying to bring down the mood or anything, but it's a fact of life, and obviously we can't talk too much about it. But with all the positives come a lot of negatives as far as working in a hospital, especially a children's hospital, unfortunately. Do they teach you how to deal with that?
So yeah, I have a 2-tiered answer to that. I'll start with med school, and then I'll start with how I'm personally involved in a project to make it better in residency. In med school, during our first 2 years, we have my med school had a class dedicated to how to do a history and physical and how to talk to patients. And we had a lot of standardized patients actually come in. And they were great. They built a clinical skills center where we had standardized patients come in all the time, and they would give us feedback right after our encounter to say, you made me feel uncomfortable. That was really good the way you asked this. Keep going down that line. I really want to open up with you. I didn't feel I wanted to open up with you for this, that, and this reason. And I found those to be really beneficial and very helpful to that kind of talk it through. In residency, the biggest problem is I think about 80% of our time is spent in front of a computer in our room, putting in orders, talking on rounds, talking to consultants, writing notes, doing discharge summaries, and we spend so little time in the patient room. We spend about 2 minutes in the morning examining them, and then maybe 5 to 10 minutes on rounds with them, and then maybe once or twice, going back in the afternoon. But you have 5 or 6 patients, you can imagine how much stuff is going on, that's hard to do. So I joined this project last year working on getting residents back to the bedside and by using trading cards. So our residents have their own trading cards. It has a fun fact about them, and we give these patients a blank template, and they like draw themselves and write out fun thing. And then we come back in the afternoon, and I give them my card. I tell them about myself, and then they give me a card back. And so it's to get us back to the bedside, to get to really know patients and get to know the families better, because so much of our time is spent away from them.
Wow.
And it's like your stats on the back, like how many lives you saved, how many lives
So
you lost.
so this is the first year of us doing the project, and it's really focusing on resident wellness and making us feel like we're more connected. Everyone goes into medicine to treat patients, not to write notes.
Right.
Not to call consults, not to put in orders,
To be holed up in the office.
Right. We spend so much of our lives wanting to deal with patients, and so much of our days are not spent with patients.
Something that we do here is we like to dramatize something and bring it right to the moment.
Yeah.
So just hearing you say all these things, I think we should do this. John and I will be the parents. Joe is our 4-year-old son. You're the doctor, and maybe Matt, you can be the receptionist.
Oh, boy.
Okay? Can we just?
Okay.
We'll see. Let's see how you do. We've all been to a doctor at some point in our lives. I think we know what we're looking for,
hope so.
and maybe we can rate.
Is everyone vaccinated?
We're not even in the office yet. So far, you're not doing a good job.
Oh, in real life.
In real life.
Yes.
In real life.
My role's pretty accurate. I would
Okay.
say.
Are we ready?
Yeah, so I'm the father.
Oh, well, we could both be dads. Or we could both be moms. Or,
2019.
Listen, it's 2019.
it's progressive.
All right, I'm with it.
Okay, here we go. Is there a knock at the door? Usually.
Not usually at a hospital. You don't usually knock at a door.
Hospital, right? Okay, sorry.
You go to the receptionist.
Okay,
We have
go
a
to
lot
the
less
receptionist.
private rooms.
We walk
Right,
up.
right.
We're holding our son Joe, who's 4. Let's do it.
Hi, how are you today?
We're all right. We're all right. I mean, we're a little distraught, as you can imagine. This is our son, and we need him. We need to see the doctor. We need to see
Immediately.
Okay, why don't
Dr.
you take
Joe.
a seat and I'll go call the doctor.
No, now. I want it
immediately.
now.
Please.
Dr. Joe?
I'm here.
Oh, good.
Oh, hi, doctor. This is our son, Joe. Joe, say hi.
Hi.
So the problem with Joe is he's developed a growth that I don't know,
We don't know.
and it's in a place that I don't really want to discuss openly in public.
Right. Can we go behind the curtain?
Sure. I'll take you into the exam room.
Okay, here we go. Now we're
Okay,
in.
so now we're in. So here he is.
Do you want to talk to him?
Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Hi, I'm pretty good.
Hey, how's your day?
All right, I just got weird things going on in my body.
So tell me, what's going on?
Well, lately something has just become a little larger than I expected.
He's 4.
You're a very mature 4-year-old.
You're 4.
Very mature 4-year-old.
I don't know if this is a conversation that you have with a doctor. I think it's more a conversation you have with your parents.
Not only is he very mature, but he's very outgoing.
Why are you having me say what?
I like that he said.
44.
I like that he said I've developed a growth. It's bigger than it usually is. You know, hospital visits aren't free, Joe. This is something
Okay,
that we could have easily talked to you about.
Okay,
Can I get a
sorry.
birth certificate for Joe?
Let's
Yeah.
just switch
You
this up.
left me one-on-one with this doctor right now. What am I supposed to talk
We
about?
trust him.
I'll always have a chaperone.
Okay, let's see what he does. Go ahead. Make it work.
So Joe, tell me what's going on.
Well, I said I having a little problem with my body lately.
Okay, and when did it start?
Oh, about a few weeks ago, and I don't know what to do with it. Do you know how you can help me?
Sure. Where is it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. The parents. Now, as the parents, we're watching because we think we're going to get a breakthrough here.
I have a suggestion.
Sure.
That nurse over there looks like she might be able to help you with your problem.
This is what we're doing.
Hello. How are you, Joe?
Can you help our son?
A little embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed.
And scene.
Good. There we go.
That's the start of a porno.
And what we learned was that
We learned nothing.
Nothing.
Let's be honest. That took a turn.
Joe, as a 4-year-old, knows what a few weeks is. That's
But
what
I have to tell you, Joey
Was
held
great.
himself real well. I liked the way that he talked to you.
Real professional.
Real professional. 2 idiots come in with another idiot, and he knew how to handle it.
Did he make you feel comfortable?
Very much so.
Cool.
Too
He didn't
too
solve
comfortable.
too comfortable. He didn't
Right.
solve your problem, but we
But that's
didn't even
okay.
know what it was.
That's for another day. That's for another day.
You were great.
So let me ask you this. Now that you're a doctor, if you've been officially a doctor for a while now, but now everybody's common knowledge, everybody knows that you're a doctor. How many people a day would you say come up to you and ask you, hey, I got this thing, what is it?
Not that frequently, but
Okay,
when
but
they
that's
do,
a lot. I know I ask you a lot.
But when people do, I have an easy answer because the people that are coming up to ask me are too old. So I'm like, I can't help
that's
you.
a cop-out, though. A rash is a rash is a rash.
So no 4-year-olds.
No 4-year-olds have come up to
well-spoken
me.
4-year-olds.
I do have a few parents that have asked me some questions over the years,
Okay.
and I'm happy to answer them because they're family friends or different things like that.
But a rash is a rash, isn't it?
A rash is a rash,
A rash by any other name.
A rash by any other name. But so
as long as it's not the measles.
right.
Right.
So have you with this vaccination thing, has this come up at all at your hospital?
We have not had any positive measles cases. A lot of rule out measles, but nothing positive.
But people have come in and gone, I think this is measles.
Well, I think everyone's concerned.
See, this is a real concern that I have, is that this is in the news. People get vaccinated, right, or not getting vaccinated. There's measles everywhere. And when I see these articles, the first thing I think to myself is, oh, man, I don't know what measles looks like. I could have measles.
Right,
I don't know what measles is.
Could you describe them to us?
So it's a febrile illness. So you have a fever, and it would be a rash that starts head to toe. The problem with measles is that when the rash starts, you're usually contagious the few days beforehand. So you're contagious before the rash occurs. That's the major concern, is that when you could see it, other people have already been exposed
It's
at that
too
point.
late.
And it can kill you.
Yes, it can. And that's the big conversation about vaccines. I had someone once tell me, and I definitely agree with this, is that my generation and people of our age don't see measles. We don't see polio. We don't see Haemophilus influenza, things, I can go through all the vaccines, right? We don't see these diseases
Because of vaccines.
when they come in because of vaccines. So my mentors and people that I work with and supervise me, tell us about these diseases, and they went through it and saw it, so they know how serious this is. People of our generation, I don't know if that's part of the reasoning as to why we're so hesitant with vaccines.
Right.
It's because we've never seen these illnesses, so we don't fully understand how sick and how deadly these diseases can be.
It's almost like Jurassic Park in a way.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
Right. We're trying to bring back the dinosaurs.
We've
that
never
could
seen
kill us.
dinosaurs, so we're like, dinosaurs, that's cool. But
Yeah.
the people who were alive when dinosaurs were around probably would tell you, like, you don't want those around.
Right.
They're going to kill you.
Right,
It's a
right.
very rudimentary example.
And that's why we
but-
haven't heard from the people that have
and
been
that's
around
why
with
you haven't heard-
dinosaurs.
Right.
Who's the last person you knew who knew a dinosaur? Not me.
None of the hieroglyphics.
Dr. Hammond.
So
No.
dinosaurs.
Oh, Dr. John Hammond.
Oh,
1 to
he
10.
was
Do
a
you
good
know
man.
him?
He
1
was
to
a big
10.
miss. He was a
Dr.
big
John.
miss. So more of a researcher, I would say, than a medical doctor, but he's pretty.
I mean, you don't know
Wait,
that.
Doctor
He's pretty well researched.
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Dr. Ian Malcolm from
Wow,
Jurassic Park,
sure.
right? Or Dr. Henry Jones, Indiana Jones.
Henry Jones, another researcher, more PhD than MD or DO, but
Oh yeah, so tell me that. PhD is research doctor.
correct,
MD is a medical doctor.
correct, and DO as well is another medical doctor.
What is
A
that?
doctor of osteopathic medicine.
What's
Which
that?
is bone?
No, they do a little thing. Their schooling is a little different, but after medical school, they're the same as
Oh,
everyone
okay,
else. I mean, they get the same training as everyone else.
Is a dentist a doctor?
Yes.
Is a chiropractor a doctor?
I believe they get their doctorate. I'm not sure.
They do. No, I know that.
But they're not a doctor officially, are they? I mean, I've been told. Okay, so when I was younger, I wanted to go to a chiropractor for the first time, and my mom told me, "I don't believe in that." And I said, "Like the Easter Bunny? I mean, he's right there. He's a chiropractor. I know he's there." And she said, "I don't believe in them. They're not real doctors," which is something I had never heard before in my life.
Right.
And is that true?
Well, they get classified with acupuncture as like alternative medicine, which is becoming a lot
wow.
more popular and trying to become involved in more of the mainstream and how could it play a role. With the person with the right experience, I think it can be safe. But we in pediatrics, so my exposure and my experience dealing with chiropractors or acupuncturists is very limited.
Right.
A lot of pediatric patient population isn't going to these
They're
specialties.
not like
So
pulling a 4-year-old's head.
right, we're not really getting involved with them. Like an adult doctor would probably have more experience and like can probably give more anecdotal evidence of whether they think it's beneficial or not.
What do you think about Western and Eastern medicine?
I mean, I think Eastern medicine is a little more of those alternative concepts.
You got to think this guy went to school for X amount of years, so many years, and then you're going to turn around and go, I'm just going to eat these weeds instead. He's going to go,
100%.
no, you need what I learned.
Right.
Forget your weeds.
Right.
Because he learned it.
Right.
If I went to school to learn about hot stones, I guess I would tell you that hot stones was the best
Sure.
possible way. Nobody's going to go, hey, I'm going to put you in a good mood. Call me doctor. Like, I don't think
Right.
that's
No
going
one's
to
gonna-
happen. I don't think anybody's going to come in and claim that. But now let me ask you a question. In the hospital, they serve Jell-O.
Favorite color?
Green.
They serve ice cream.
They have an ice cream cart that comes around for the kids and ices.
And ices? Italian?
Italian ices, yeah.
Wow.
What other culture has ices? Oh, this
What
is
about
Spanish.
yogurt?
Do we have yogurt? Yeah, we'd have yogurt. Yeah.
Chobani?
No, I don't believe it's Chobani.
That's
I
my
don't believe
favorite
it's Chobani.
That's my favorite kind. Do you take tonsils out?
No, I don't take tonsils out.
Have you?
No, I've never taken tonsils
Imagine
out.
he was like, yeah, once. Like, why?
Do you have your own
I
tonsils?
have my own tonsils.
Can you show us?
Ah,
Yeah,
they are. For
yeah,
those of you,
yeah.
for those of you listening
What
at
do
home,
they- what
he
do
shows us
tonsils
his
do?
tonsils.
What do they do?
I mean, they get swollen with strep throat. There's
That's
I mean,
not-
Wait a minute. What?
What do they do? They get sick, and that's it.
there's some lymphoid tissue, some inflammatory response that they kind of produce, but I mean, that's why you can take them out.
Have you seen any issues come up in the hospital, in the environment of the hospital nowadays with all this Me Too stuff, that you can't be left alone with a kid, that somebody has to be in? You have to have 2 to 1, or you have to have multiples, or what's that like?
So we always have a chaperone in the room whenever we're doing an exam, especially really actually on anybody. We have a chaperone in the room. Whenever, a lot of the times we have to do genitalia exams, I always have the parents stay in the room with that. Even for teenagers, we'll ask the parents to step out for a time just to talk to the teenager one-on-one if they have anything to share with us. But before I do the exam, we're always bringing the family members back in the room.
For instance, I just want to say you didn't ask to have somebody in the room when we were asking you to examine Joe's genitalia.
Well, I had my nurse in the room with me.
Right, that's
I mean,
true.
you're-
She was
and-
there.
still examining
he
stuff.
actually didn't say it was his genitalia at that point.
Well, I was,
It-
that's
it-
right. I'm
it-
leading on the question.
It was presumed, but
Yeah, that's fair.
he was able to tell me developed over several weeks, but couldn't identify the body part.
Right.
Oh, wow. You're pretty good at this. That must be why you're a doctor. What are your feelings on the Met Gala?
Sure. That was obviously where this was going.
Met Gala. I mean, it was pretty wild. I saw some of those. I don't know. Would you call them costumes?
Yeah.
Here's the
I
thing
feel
about
like I kind of want to call them costumes.
Sure.
Here's my feelings on the Met Gala. And not that, I mean, I asked you, you answered for a second, and now I'm going to tell you how I feel.
And that's how an interview works.
That's
How
what
do you feel?
It's my damn show. I do what I want.
Role reversal.
Right. So I was looking at pictures of the Met Gala the other night, and I thought to myself, they should probably change the name of this to Take It Easy. Because I'm looking at these people, they're not, come on, you're not even wearing clothes at this point. You're wearing all sorts of things. When you get carried in on a thing, and everyone's like, I'm feeling realness. No, get out of here. You're being carried in by gold people. I don't know what this is. And then they said this year it was supposed to be camp was the theme.
Like sleepaway camp or camp?
I didn't see not one Boy Scout.
That's right.
And that, there was no marshmallows anywhere. But I don't think that's where they were going with it. But
It's
yeah,
supposed to be camp. So how did Cinderella play a role in camp?
exactly.
I don't exactly understand it either, but I was explained, first off, there is a theme, like you said, camp, but it's outrageous costumes. Something to the effect of like when Elton John makes a statement and wears this outfit.
Yeah, but Elton John is Elton John. Zendaya is not Elton John.
That's right.
She was
But
Cinderella.
She was
It is
Cinderella.
a designer's showcase. So
Yeah.
the designers are showcasing their beautiful, outrageous costumes and then using their +1 to bring these celebrities to show them off so that they do represent someone sort of like Elton John. Does that make sense?
Put somebody like from design in this, And then I'll
I'm
tell
just
you.
saying.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
saying.
my thing is, you had Lady Gaga in there wearing like literally just her underwear. You had somebody else in there wearing just half an outfit. And then Zendaya, like you said there, Joe, looked like she went to Party City and got a Cinderella outfit.
Jared Leto had his head.
Jared Leto was
Right.
carrying his
That
own
was
head.
that was by far the favorite.
That's right. So now, do you get to go to fancy stuff like that? Do you
not as a resident, no.
not as a resident, but as a real doctor? Maybe a doctor to the stars. You could be doctor to the child stars.
Oh, wait a minute. No,
They
but
need
wait,
doctors.
We just got a name on the new royal baby.
Yeah, we
And
did.
you are a pediatrician.
Archie.
Archie.
Archibald.
Does the baby look healthy? Let me pull up a picture.
Let me
get
take
him
a
for you.
picture. I have not seen a picture.
You can judge someone's health by a photo, no?
Of course.
What's his name? Archibald Harrison.
I did hear that Harrison was, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Harrison was literally chosen for Harry's son.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but that's pretty crazy.
That's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a
Yeah, let's
picture
take a
of
look.
Archie Harrison. This is the first picture. You know, what do you think? What's your opinion here as a
Archie
doctor? How's he looking?
Harrison Mountbatten.
Just give us your
Windsor.
thoughts as you're looking.
So, what do you guys think about the hat on the baby? You think that's important, or what do you think? I don't know. I think
Uh,
that's a
you
fashion
tell us,
statement.
does a baby
Do you
need a
think-
hat?
Does the
do you-
baby need a hat?
Do you think that's like he was in Met Gala, so this is like
Met
part of
Gala,
his
so he's wearing
costume?
his hat. That's his outfit. That's so camp, that outfit.
That's,
Does-
I vote yes.
Well, who's ever not wanted to see a baby in a hat?
Exactly.
Right, yeah. That's
But
a
do
good
they
point.
need a hat?
so in the first.
This is the question we're asking the doctor we have on our table. Does a baby need a hat when it's born?
When they're born, why do we put them in a hat?
So we
immediately?
actually do something. So back to my nurse, bring it full circle. When we're in the nursery, one of the things we do before the parents go home with the baby is we do something called mommy talks, and we go through like anticipatory guidance before they go home, and a lot of it is these questions that may seem silly, but are, as a parent, it's important. So one of the things about the hat is that the babies actually lose a lot of heat from their head after birth. So that's why it's important for them to keep the hat on to maintain their body temperature.
All right, so you want to play this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we all just
Oh,
have
we're gonna
our
do
new
my
babies.
mommy
Well,
talk?
let's just me and Frank will be the parents.
Okay.
We're the new babies, and we're gonna.
These are the babies. Yep. Matt,
Well, the babies,
Joe are the
they
babies.
can't talk, so
No, but, you know,
you
make
guys
them feel like
represent
they're
the
doing
babies.
something.
You feel like you're here.
Okay.
So now we're gonna do mommy talk. We're gonna ask you some questions, or rather, we'll ask you some questions, and you also tell us some things we should know.
So I once had, I should hesitate to call it mommy talk. I once went in the room and said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Casiglione. I just want to go over some things with you before you go home. You know, we call this a little mommy talk." And the mother looked at me with a straight face and said, "No, actually, let's call it a parent talk because I want my husband to be involved."
Wow.
Like, obviously, I'm talking to both of you. I wasn't going to ignore the man. It's
That's
just
an award-winning
important for
wife.
him.
Right,
But
That's an
I mean,
award-winning wife. She just gave birth.
It was a little interesting comment.
But she just gave birth, and she already wants to include the husband. Now that is a great wife.
Great family dynamic.
She didn't say. How many people have you ever seen in your time delivering babies grab the husband's hand and go, "I hate you. You did this."
I haven't seen any of that. I have
What?
not seen any of that
I've
yet.
I have like 8 movies
On
that they
TV,
do it in. I
you
can
did
show
this
you.
to me.
You
Yeah.
did this to me, Danielle. I'm gonna need you to say that. Whenever. That doesn't have to be then. You can say it now.
All right, mommy talk. You ready?
All right, mommy
Okay.
talk. Here we go. So, what temperature does it have to be in order for me to bring the baby outside?
So baby outside, you can bring the baby outside in any temperature. When it's very hot, when like very, very hot and like you're uncomfortable, I would say that's a reason to not keep the baby outside for a long time. Very, very cold would also be very, dangerous as well. But if you're bringing the baby transferring from house to car, that's completely safe.
And how soon can I bring the baby outside?
So bringing the baby outside is fine. If you want to bring the baby to the car, like I said, I wouldn't take the baby out to supermarkets. I wouldn't take the baby on a plane. I wouldn't take the baby to the movie theater, park, carnival, things like that.
Tell more people
Baseball
not to take the baby
games.
to the movie theater, please.
Telling me.
Within the first 2 months. After the 2-month vaccines, we can be a little more lenient.
But what if they hit you with, "We live in a sauna in Alaska"?
That's very.
Where do I put my baby?
That would be concerning
need
for
a hat.
discharge.
Very specific.
Okay. How many times a day do I feed my baby?
So, are you breastfeeding or bottle feeding?
I breastfeed, but
I bottle feed.
He bottle
Bottle
feeds.
feed. So, if you're breastfeeding, you can feed the baby whenever they're hungry. Okay, and that could be
How do you
up
know?
to 8 to 12 times a day. The baby will start crying.
8 to 12 is an Italian baby. 8 to
8
12
to
times
12
a day.
times a day, oh boy.
Get the mortadella.
Yeah.
So really, every 2 to 3 hours, the baby will be eating. So if you're feeding formula, every 2 to 3 hours, the baby should be feeding. And the baby should not go longer than 3 hours in the first week of life without feeding.
What kind of clothes would you say that the baby needs to wear?
So a lot of the question I get a lot of times is room temperature. What temperature should the room be let's say for the baby? And I usually say whatever temperature you're comfortable in is fine. The baby's usually comfortable in one layer more. So if you're comfortable in a t-shirt, the baby could be like in a long sleeve onesie, and that's fine. If you're comfortable in a long sleeve
Onesie.
Onesie.
you can put the baby on, something else on the baby, like a blanket over the
They're
baby.
pretty durable babies. They say that, right?
Right?
In what way?
Oh, well, they say...
You drop them by accident a couple times.
I don't want you to get too testy.
No, but they say that, especially when your baby's like 2 or so and they're wandering around and they like bump into a wall or something like that. And they go, babies are durable. They're not as, delicate as you think. Is that true?
Yeah, and they can definitely, kids bump into walls all the time. And,
I did a
It's
lot.
like a Roomba?
And they're fine.
Yeah,
Kinda like a
they
Roomba.
just bump into a
Kinda
wall,
like a
turn
Roomba.
around.
That's how they figure out where to go.
Right.
I was dropped on my head as a baby. Can you tell me what's wrong with me?
Probably not related to the drop on the head.
Unrelated? Okay, now I was dropped on Matt's head as a baby. No, that's
I don't know.
No,
about
that's
this.
a different story.
that's a totally different thing.
I have one.
Okay.
So I'm playing the role now of a new mother, maybe a little hipstery, very book smart, and also a little ignorant. And so I asked this question: is it true that little boys are made of snips and snails?
Wait, what?
I'm sorry.
Snips and snails?
And puppy dog tails? Is that what little boys?
What is that from?
I'm gonna pass out. Let's try it again. Anyway, curtain action. Yes, doctor. Thank you. I have to get back to Park Slope. Is it true that little boys?
Snips and snails? What are we talking about?
It's an old poem.
I never heard it before.
Is it true that little boys are made of snips and snails and puppy dog tails, and little girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice? Is this true, doctor?
No.
Well, that was a long.
Wait a minute. What are
long
they
setup?
What are they made of then? Flesh and bone?
So now that's a question I haven't got yet.
What's a baby made of?
What's a baby made of?
Wait a minute. Imagine someone was like, "Hey, what's this?"
I luckily have not gotten that question.
Have you ever had anybody?
I just want to know, have you ever had anyone that's like genuinely frightened when they're leaving and they're like, what do I do?
You just gonna give me this? Like,
we have a lot of anxious parents. A lot of anxious parents. And a lot of times you just keep going over reassurance. It's a lot of what pediatrics is. To the large
do you
extent.
ever see a person deliver a baby and both parents are openly disappointed with the gender of the baby?
No, I have not had.
No? That's never happened before?
I'm trying to think back. I don't.
Have you had any genderless babies? That's a very Park Slope thing.
So I haven't had any genderless
biologically.
babies.
No. Hey, listen. Listen. There's all in the
I
semantics.
did have a patient that they did testing during pregnancy, and the chromosome showed XY, which is for a boy, but it came out with female genitalia, and there was a large question as to how that could be. So that was a little of a confusion.
Oh, okay. That was a real answer. I meant that somebody who didn't want you to
I-
put it down on the
no,
paperwork.
Yeah, that definitely raised further discussions and further evaluation.
So you haven't delivered any babies.
No babies.
No
one.
babies.
So we do nursery, which is like the newborn baby unit, during our first year of residency. So I haven't done it this year since New York law has changed to allow X as a gender.
Right, that's right.
I haven't come across it.
Wait, that's a thing? I didn't know you.
Yeah.
On a birth certificate.
On a
you
birth
could put
certificate,
X?
you don't have to choose male and female anymore.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, we have very little involvement in to begin with.
That's
Right,
what the parent
you
wants
know,
to do
yeah,
anyway.
it's
exactly.
the parent-
Do what you want to do.
To me, this has always been my feeling about the gender thing. It's the gender is important for social construct, but as far as taking care of the patient, you worry about male, female, XY chromosome, XX chromosome. That's
Right,
really
the science behind it is what you have to focus
that's
on.
going to really help me care for the patient.
Because you have to figure out a blue hat, a pink hat, or a yellow hat. Right?
Don't get me wrong. As they're growing up, the social component is a very big part in adolescence. But
Not
when they're
infant,
younger,
right.
it's not.
So now I don't want to keep you forever, but you do also do more than just babies. You do like children, like
We do from birth to 18. Really, to
18.
21 we can go up to.
So you get like angsty teens who come in and like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
yeah, there's actually a specialty on just adolescent medicine.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you just play like a lot of like punk music in the
No,
waiting room for the
A little Lincoln Park in the background.
It's
Four Locos in the corner.
We're
It's
very
more the
dated.
things you would you would expect to come up during teenage years.
Those things do happen.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you got a lot of like questions that like are obvious, like Joe's.
like Joe's.
A
We still don't know what
well-spoken-
Joe's question was, though.
Right.
No, I don't think Joe knew what his question was.
That's what happens to a 4-year-old. You usually ignore them and go straight to the parents.
Right.
Right. So now I had a question for you. in all your time? Okay, we're going to go right back to babies, because let's be honest, teenagers, boring. Let's talk about babies. What are some of the wildest baby names you've heard?
There's some interesting ones.
Oh, let's hear it. If you can say, because I don't know how much you can say, because then...
Yeah, I don't... I just know I've come across a few interesting names. I can't say one has stood out more than others, but there's definitely some...
Have you ever gotten a male famale situation?
So in the newborn nursery, they're all male and female. After that, I've never gotten one, like a toddler that's still named male and female.
Have you ever had a name that's come in that you really liked?
I don't know if there's one that really stood out to
Do
me.
you even listen at work?
Yeah, actually, there is one name. This patient that I started with, so we do some outpatient clinic work in the office, and there's one of my first patients in this continuity clinic where we see them. We're there every Wednesday, so we have to tell them to come on Wednesday afternoons. And there's one patient has a name that I
It's
really
cool.
like.
You can't say it.
Yeah.
But if
That
we
makes
can hint
sense.
at it, we can guess it.
No, we can't. I don't want to guess
This
it.
is like in Seinfeld, right? Where there's a name that
It's,
sounds like a woman's genitalia.
Yeah, Mulva.
Mulva.
I like his name.
And so have you developed a lot of relationships with some of the kids who come in regularly?
So there are the people that are in the hospital on inpatient side that have to stay overnight multiple times. That you'd be surprised that you get to know them, and how many people actually have to be in the hospital that frequently is unfortunate, but you do get to know the families and the patients.
Right. Unfortunately, right. If they're there, that means they're sick, and that's
Right.
not good. You don't want them there.
Right.
But
As far as in the office, this year I've had more of an opportunity to develop relationships with some of the families, and especially like when the babies are born, then they come see you and you tell them, follow up. It's the visits in the first year are pretty set. So there are 2 months, usually at birth, then a week later, then 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. So you can kind of schedule your life to be on a Wednesday specifically for those things.
It sounds like having a puppy, though. It's pretty close, all of it. Just
Like the
you
visits?
got to bring them in.
Oh,
when you
yeah.
take
Yeah,
it
yeah.
home. How you
But
feed
with
it
that
when it's
that's
hungry.
first
baby,
year,
yeah.
and
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
so
close.
like I go back to the thing that was the thing I feared the most was the newborns and when they're that little, and now it's what I love the most because that year you do so much with them, you do so much different teaching. Like you're teaching about counting the diapers at the very first visit, and then at 6 months you're talking about starting foods, and then 12 months they're starting to walk and talk, and it's like what happened in that first year is amazing.
wow. All right. So let's go around and let's do what we plan to do every time here. Is let's go in one word what we learned about what Joey here does, and then I'll end it. Frank?
I will say compassionate.
Compassionate. Okay. Danielle, do you want to go?
Loving.
Loving. Joe?
Hero.
He's a hero.
He
Matt,
is.
what do you think?
Infant.
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 Wow, that's less of an opinion and more of a
that
fact.
was a fact.
Oh, yeah, no. I think I would have to go with commendable, right? Because, you nobody told you had to go through all this, but this is what you do. And that's kind of the point of all this, is like we don't really know the ins and outs. You see a pediatrician and you're like, oh, well, okay, fine. And I guess in that one, you think a little bit about what goes into it, but you don't really know. So we always like to end our show the same way. This time, it doesn't really feel so fitting because I think there was never really any doubt about this.
Yes.
But, the show is called The Nothing Podcast with nobody important. And our goal here is to prove that while we may not be, our guest is always very important. So I think we've learned most of all that being a pediatric specialist is very important.
You're important.
You are important. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Because we think so.
Because we think you're important.
I think you guys are important as well.
Well, thanks.
Tell
You're
us
wrong
why.
about that. But yeah, all right. So Joe,
Cool.
want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of
Enjoyed
course. Right.
And maybe you could just check out the growth that Joe has going on down there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could definitely
All right.
check it out once we're off the
Definitely,
air.
definitely. All right. Thank you. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you all soon.
You've been listening to the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, a cool side production, hosted by John Panepinto and Frank Caiati, with contributors Matt Hunt, Joe Hagopian, and Tom Zaccheo, and engineered by me, Danielle Rosefisher. Find us online at nothing-podcast.com, and be sure to rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are distributed.